Hi, and welcome again to my channel. So glad to have you here. Obviously, if you've returned or if you find yourself here, welcome. My name is Monifa. So, today I want to do an introductory post to introduce myself formally to those who are already subscribed to this channel and those who wish to subscribe and want to know more about me. So, like I mentioned in my previous video, I will be sharing a series of stories about my life, leading to where I am, things that I've learned along the way, a little bit of chisme, and yeah, let's get to it. So, Monifa's name is Nicole. Nicole Tandiswa was born in Johannesburg. My mother is Xhosa. My dad is Venda. I was raised mainly Xhosa. So by a single mom, obviously, because my dad left my mom when I was two. They were really incompatible, so they couldn't they couldn't be together. And my mom raised me, and I had a beautiful. I would say my childhood was okay-ish until I turned like six, where a tragedy hit my life, and I'm gonna share that story that changed everything about me. Well, so I am right now 35 years old, living in Mexico. I'm married. I have a 14-year-old son, and yeah, that's it. I have a stepson as well. He's also 14, two beautiful boys, married to a Mexican German man who's also loving. I'll tell the story of how I met him as well. So that's just the little bit about me. I grew up in a place called Yeovil in Johannesburg. I was actually born in Baragwanath Hospital in Krisani Baragwanath Hospital in 1990. My mom was a domestic worker. My dad was a garden boy who, when I turned two, started working for the SPCA, and he's still working there till now. So he's been there for like 33 years. Wow, 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 wow. He better get, they must give him a good retirement. Anyway, I went to school. I went to Yeovil Community School. My primary, I did change primaries like two, three times. I never went to preschool. I just went straight to grade one. I don't know why they never took me to creche or kindergarten, but I never went. The first day of learning what the school system was literally, I don't know what this is, was literally my first day at school. And I remember my first day at school, I didn't even have school uniform because I don't think my mom was planning for me to go to school betunan. I actually was wearing a flowered dress with a sun hat, and I had this beautiful bag where I had chocolates and snacks, and I got to class. And my older cousin was already in grade one. I think they put me there because we're like close with age, and although he was older, a year older than me. So I was in the class there opening my chocolate, and the teacher embarrassed me and shared my chocolate with the whole class. So my first day at school was a very traumatic one. Can you imagine? I didn't cry. I was a lady and everyone was in uniform. So I think within the week I got my school uniform and and integrated myself. I remember, I think, yeah, that was my journey in school. Then from there, that was an orange farm because that's where my grandmother had her place. Then from there, my grandmother, because she had a place in Orange Farm, but she was working in Makishin. She was working as a domestic worker too in a building. She was a cleaner there while my grandfather was a security. And so, the stories. And so my mom always loved staying with her mother. So we stayed with my grandmother, I think, while my mom rented. We stayed with my grandmother for a couple of times. At times, my mother would go and rent. She didn't really have a stable career. She was more of a hustler. She would sell carpets. She would sell bags. I remember right before she died, she and her friends were actually trying to open a nappy company, and unfortunately, she died before it could it could blossom. So yeah, I went to Yobo Community School, finished my grade 7. From there, I went to Banato Park High. I remember before my mom died, she wanted me to actually go to Athlone Girls. Yo, I was like, I don't want to go to an all girls school. Athlone is beautiful. They wear nice uniform, I think it's green. But I wanted to go to a school where there's boys. So I applied. My mother really thought I submitted the forms at Athlone. I never even bothered. I submitted my forms only in one school, Panato Park High, which was at that time said to be a very corrupt school, but I was like, I want to go there. I think it was maybe because of the things I used to watch on TV where I was like, I don't want to go to an all girls school. I want to go to where there's boys. And I went to Banato, started Banato, I think it was in 2004, finished my matric in 2008. I would say my grade 8, I was a good student. I was trying to be in the top 10, never made it. And then grade 9, I started becoming a rebel and having naughty friends. Although I used to pass though, many people, I was in school, one of those kids where people would like, go pass utandiswa, and notice is or pass. Ngepadi, some of them would not pass, and I pass. I was one of those kids that I'm very naughty, but when I'm in class, I pay attention. So when I'm not paying attention, I'm not paying. I have a very short attention span. So when I'm not paying attention, I truly am not paying attention. But when I do pay attention, trust me, I'll rock whatever subject it is. I was very good in history, English literature, as well as business studies. That's why I did commerce. I'm terrible with numbers. I still am. I tried maths. Yo, that thing almost killed me. And I ended up doing maths literacy. Maths literacy, for those who don't know, it's that mathematics where if Nicole has two sticks and she takes out one. How many sticks does she have? There's no trigonometry there or crazy algebra or all those things or solve x for y. No, so I didn't do that. I ran away from sciences as well because I was like, yo, lento label this thing of labeling as the what an animal or geography. Jesus Christ, I can't. Anything that has numbers, I can't. I don't even know how I did accounting because I failed it dismally. I remember my biggest this is embarrassing, but my highest mark in metric was 25%. My metric certificate. 25%. The only thing I used to get right in accounting, I won't lie, was the headings. Journal, balance, balance leisure, those ones. When they introduce a new topic and they say what it is, and that was what I used to master. But when it comes to solving the numbers and balancing the ledger or the journal, I count me out. I'm terrible with numbers. My mind just goes blank. Then I completed my matric. Unfortunately, I didn't go to university. I really, really did want to go, but unfortunately, I didn't have the funds. I was granted a bursary, but I don't remember what. I just couldn't use it to go to university. I decided to do some IT course, and which I dropped out. I took a gap year actually. I finished my matric in 2008, took a gap year, uh, took a gap year 2009, 2010, when I was now trying to go back. I was trying to do A plus. And with that, unfortunately, while I was in the middle of the A plus, I wasn't even understanding what I was studying, mind you. While I was in the middle of that A plus, that's when the World Cup hit, and I had crazy friends then, and we started drinking, and I got pregnant, and I just had an excuse to drop out, and that was how I dropped out from studying A plus. Then I had my baby in 2011. I had my son, beautiful little boy. Met his dad during the World Cup. We were together for like 3 years, and afterwards we broke up in 2014. That's another story for another day. Yo, guys, there's gonna be so many stories. But also, I really don't sometimes want to go back too much in the past. But sometimes I feel like it would be worth it because somebody could be going through the same thing I went through, feeling hopeless and thinking that there's no way forward. But trust me, there's a way forward. But fast forward, had my baby. When my baby was like about 3, and the relationship was ending with his dad, I decided to go to Boston City campus, and I studied HIV and AIDS management and counseling. One reason that made me choose that subject was because a lot of people look at the people who are infected by the virus, but then nobody ever talks about the people who are affected by it. So in my case, I found out after my mom had died that she had contracted HIV from an ex of hers, and my mother hid it from me. I didn't know, and had I known, probably I don't know if I could have changed anything, but I was mad at her and angry for her for a long time, and I was like, why didn't she say? And it was a secret that was well kept until she died, and I couldn't even proofread with her to find out that really why were you really sick or something. So I was affected a lot because I lost my mother when I was 13 years old. My mother was only 33 years old when she died. God bless her soul. Actually, yesterday was the 18th of September, so that is her birthday. May her soul rest in peace. Love her very much. She left a great memory. My mother was very smart. She was very smart. She was very beautiful. She was a lady. And I would say that a lot of my tenacity and my character comes from her, and I'm very proud to have been raised by her. I was her only child, and she did her best with me, and she tried to give me the best. I really will not lie. So remove the fact that I was naughty or anything else, but my mother did her best with me, and she wanted the best for me. That's why at times when I sit alone, I'd be like, did I fail her? Because I knew she had big plans for me. She wanted me to go to university. She dropped out of school in grade 11, and she regretted it, and she would say it all the time. And yeah, so I chose to do that course in to learn more and to help other people as well who are affected, especially kids. So that was why when I graduated from Boston, I went to find a job at Santa Health Imperium. And what I loved about that is that we were working a lot with school kids, and we'd go to the clinic and we'd counsel kids. And I kind of knew what they were going through because I had been through that. Some kids were born HIV positive, and you'd find sometimes there was one case where a child didn't even know he was positive, and he had come to this emporium for a soccer match, and we were testing, and I don't know why the mother had consented to that, but the child had a consent form, and I tested the child, and it turns out the child is positive, and I'm doing trauma counseling, and then the child is like, oh, now it makes sense why I go to the clinic every month and mom is forcing me to take medication. And that touched me a lot. So yeah, I did that, and then in a couple of years, I've always then tried to upskill myself by taking different courses. I'd be learning call center here. If there's like there was something I was also part of called Junior Achievement in school that taught me how to run a business and stuff. So I was always very, very curious. And the last course I did was a TEFL, teaching English in a foreign language, which was presented to me in 2019 while I was in an office setup. And we were just talking with the colleagues. And one of my colleagues' cousin was like, called her cousin, she was inviting her cousin to China. And they spoke about this, and I was eavesdropping and extremely curious because I had seen posts and flyers that were like teach in China, but we're thinking human trafficking or sex trafficking. So I never wanted to associate myself with that. But when this cousin of my colleague brought in this thing, and she was already in China, I was very curious and started taking steps there. I did a TEFL and added that to my marks, as well as my Boston certificate, and that was what I used with all the other certificates that I had achieved everywhere. I did like skills development, lots of things, man. Just trying to build myself out there. I've never been a person who limits themselves and says, I don't have this qualification, I'm not gonna go and apply. I go in whether I qualify or not, and I will, you most of the time, get the job. That's how I've always been. I've sat in rooms and trained people who had degrees and they don't know anything. And I'd be there training them and doing their job or doing jobs of people who are educated while I don't have that education. And it just takes me a couple of months or weeks to learn that skill set. And I put my all to it and I do it. That was also with how I got my teaching job, which made me leave South Africa. I had zero teaching experience, and I was very honest with them that I don't have teaching experience. The only thing I've done is help my cousins with homework and other kids around the community. But they loved me, they loved my videos, they loved my teaching plan. Apparently, my lesson plans were concrete. And I surprised a lot of people who had degrees and they took me. Also, one thing that they liked about me apparently was my spirit. That I was, I'm always like this. So they liked my spirit, and I was like, they think I was gonna blend in well with the kids. So that was how I ended up leaving South Africa and being in Mexico. Unfortunately, I hadn't gotten the job in Mexico. I had gotten the job in Honduras, but I unfortunately got stranded. I unfortunately got stranded in Mexico, which made me be here for as long as I am right now. And I regulated all my stuff. I'll in the next video, no, is it in the next one? No, I have like 3 or 4 more stories before I get to how I got to Mexico, but that's just a glimpse of a scope of my life and also adventures to expect. It's, yeah, it's just that. If you've listened till this far, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If there's also many things you'd like to learn about me, don't hesitate. I'm very happy to be sharing this journey. Hopefully this video will find itself to the right ears and also can help someone else who might be lost in life. The only lesson I'd like to give you for today is never limit yourself. Your background does not define you. You are the author of your story and you can always change your story. Thank you very much. See you on the next video.